All right, well, while people are filtering in, I guess we can kind of get things started here. We want to thank you all for joining us today to talk about Eric at Little Miami, his journey with the one-to-one manager, as well as the FUYL tower integration. Just to kind of go through some brief introductions really quick. My name is Ali Prusha. I'm an implementation analyst at Learn21. We're a nonprofit based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and we serve 400 school districts across the country. We also have some LocknCharge teammates on the call, as well as my coworker, Bill. Josh Davis is specifically the representative for, I think, Central Time Zone, basically, for LocknCharge, correct?
Central and West, yep, we got
awesome.
we got you covered.
So, and we've got a couple other members here that we're all going to be monitoring the chat, so feel free to throw out any questions, and I'll let Eric introduce himself real quick.
My name is Eric Troll. I work with the Little Miami School District as the technology coordinator of the school district. So mainly working with the students and the devices they use.
Cool. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of where we're going with this conversation today, we're going to be covering a little bit of information about the one-to-one manager, which is our asset management solution, and then also that integration with LocknCharge and how Eric's been able to use that at his district effectively. So just to jump in and give a little bit of information about one-to-one manager, our goal with that solution is to always talk to districts and listen to their needs so that we can write software that helps you guys establish process. So as you're doing all these processes, you're able to store all of that data in a meaningful place and report on it, report it out. Being able to do a lot of integrations, that's really our bread and butter here. So we want to be able to pull information from different sources and get it all into one place so that you guys have one single source of the truth. Like I mentioned, we are talking with districts to develop these workflows. So through our work with all of our school districts, we're able to establish really good kind of best practice workflows around that. So I will go ahead and give it off to Eric so he can kind of dive a little bit into more into his story.
All right, thank you guys again for coming on there. Thanks, Ali. So I am going to be going through this pretty quick on here. So if you do have a question that comes up, please put it into the chat and our moderators will hopefully get back to you or bounce it over to us so we can fill it out and answer it for you. So kind of like the slide here shows, the main question of the presentation, and that really boils down to is how can an asset management be a very robust system, yet easy to use, and at the same time offer the ability to combine itself with new technologies to make our lives easier? The answer to this is not a very simple question, to be honest, but what we have found through Learn21 is a way that our district can use and leverage its abilities for asset management in today's technological needs. So we're going to go ahead and show you our process that we went through to get there. If you already have a solution in place, maybe this will give you different ideas. If you don't already have a solution in place, maybe you can use our life lessons to help you. So, success story. At least we hope it's a success story. So we're going to take a look back at our digital transformation. Back in 2016, we went one-to-one at our high school. This was just 1,600 devices, and at the time seemed like a fairly good way to start one-to-one in our district. We then jumped ahead to 2019, where we expanded that and we added another 1,200 devices. Not quite, but almost doubling within 2 to 3 years, the amount of devices our district needed to support. And then, unfortunately, due to COVID, it actually had a silver lining in the fact that, like many school districts, we went one-to-one across our entire district. Now, our one-to-one at our lower grade levels is still in carts, but we do have one device per user. That puts us between 5,500 and 6,000 student devices that we take care of on a regular basis. So if you're a bigger school district than us, you may have way larger amount of numbers to take care of, and obviously with smaller numbers. But this puts us right there, hopefully in the middle as a good example. The questions then become, how do you deal with these devices? In two different ways, both physical, how do you treat them, repair them, but also in the digital sense of how do you manage the data that goes with them? That challenge is unique to every district, but hopefully most districts come back to the same answer, is that you need some kind of robust system that's easy to use, but yet it's very efficient at what it does. Okay, I'm going to show a few things that we did prior to going to Learn21's one-to-one manager. Our first thought was we could use a system that we already have. We have a system in place called CIRCE Dynex Workflows. A lot of schools have this in the state of Ohio because it's what libraries use to check books in and out. The system itself makes complete sense. Okay, like a computer, you check a device in and out to a student. So it works really well in that case. The problem becomes when you start thinking of all the other things that go into one-to-one management. You need to be able to do things like create an incident, add fees, assign and unassigned loaners at will, and other things like that, where a system like the CIRCE Dynex Workflows or any library management software is really not designed for those intricacies that we see with a one-to-one device management rollout. So we had to pass on that solution just because of it only being able to do really one thing. Our thought number two was, okay, well, let's create our own data management and do it ourselves. And this thought process works really well for about the first 6 months you're doing it. And that's how we did it. When we first started that high school rollout of our one-to-one devices, we started creating Excel spreadsheets to track everything. I am an absolute lover of Excel. I spend probably 2 hours a day in Excel. And I will tell you, within 6 months, you will start to hate Excel. And that's not for the fact that Excel is a bad program, but because of all those intricacies that we talked about in the workflows program, being able to create incidents, track incidents, device agreements, fees, all that kind of stuff, you need to be able to do that in Excel and have it flow together. If you're really good at Access and databases, you might be able to do that, but the average person is going to be using functions like VLOOKUP or just manually going to each of these different types of spreadsheets to get the data they need. For instance, if a student came up with a broken computer, I can't just take that device. I need to open up the sheet to verify that that's the actual device that was assigned to them, another sheet to create the incident, another sheet to show which loaner they're being given for which ticket we're creating, and then finally to see if I need to assign fees. That's in another spreadsheet. So linking all these together was very difficult, doable at first, but difficult. What really was the nail in the coffin became right around the end of the first year, when you realize that if this is the route we're going to continue, you need to be able to have data that every year has continuity with the previous year. So now I need, every file I just created, I need another file of the exact same one for the new year. This caused an issue. Very quickly, we could see where students were going to end up with the wrong devices or have an incident that didn't get tracked right. And at the end, it could lead to students getting fees that they weren't supposed to be charged or really long return times for repairs. So what's our solution? I think I'd be a little weird if I was talking right now if we didn't have the one-to-one manager, but our solution was the one-to-one manager. There are many, many reasons why we went with the one-to-one manager, okay? And Ali and everyone else will be able to give you all kinds of big feature details and some deeper dive webinars they're going to do. But some of the big ones that were important to us were things like importing devices into their database, syncing with our SIS. That's a big one. We never had that availability before, and it was great. We could assign students with that information from the SIS, the devices to them. We could do bulk uploads, which was, again, a great thing because I live in a world of CSVs, and probably you do too if you're working with any kind of data management. So a quick click here and there allowed all that data to go in and out of our SIS and out of their product real quick. Their ticket management is great. It creates a great workflow for you to know, okay, from the minute you create that ticket to the minute it goes back to the student, where that device is at, how long it's been there, the fees that go along with it, parts that got used, everything like that. And then as well, they have things like email templates and workflows for when you create a ticket, when tickets gets closed, any kinds of things like that. So that way, as the ticket goes from start to finish, the right people get the right information about what's going on. This is especially important if you're giving fees. You want to make sure parents are involved in that. So over the next couple slides here, I'm really going to just leverage a few of the pictures and GIFs that I took of our instance of our Learn21 to show you some of the features that we like that I talked about, just so you can get a visualization. If you're already using One-to-One Manager, you'll probably have seen these screens before, but for people who are not, this screen right now is simply showing how easy it is to assign a device to a student. You can see that we simply went to an assign screen. We typed in the student's ID number. Doesn't need to be an ID number. It can just be their first name, last name. It will search through that. And then we simply type in an asset tag that we assigned it, or a serial number. And the system is going to search for both that person and the device that we look up. And then we simply click save, and it's assigned. It's a very simple process. There's nothing hard about it. And it's just one of the first things that drew us to this program was, wow, this is really simple. The next thing I'm going to show here is a student card. Again, they're going to be going into a lot of details for a lot of things on each of these slides down the road in other webinars. But just as a quick overview, you can simply see just by a quick snapshot here, the amount of data that is given right in front of your eyes when you look up a student. Besides their name, their ID, what school they're at, grades, things like that, you get information like student protection. So if they have a warranty on the device, if you have notes about the student, you can quickly add them in here. An activity log on the right, which gives you everything that has ever happened to the student since, well, they started getting issues or devices in Learn21. And this is a great way to look back to see, okay, Johnny got a device in January. Why did we give him one in February? Things like that. In the center of the screen here, you have really kind of what's going on with their devices. So it'll always tell you what their current devices are, past devices, as well as opened and closed incidents. Just from a view, a quick glance, I can look up a student and immediately know, okay, this person has a ticket open. They have had 3 or 4 past devices. These are clues that help me know what I need to do with each of these students. Like I said, there's a lot more that you can do on this screen, and they'll go into that if you want to see more. But it is just a great way at a first glimpse. When you look at a student, you are getting a large amount of data that is easy to read and really quick. The next one is reports. Reports are by and far my favorite feature of Learn21. Well, one of my favorite features of Learn21. And that's simply because they have done such a remarkable job at the amount of filters that you can use. I have seen other asset managements that give you a handful at best. This really is very robust. And you can drill down to almost exactly anything you want to go on. In this case, I just did a simple assigned status of a device and generated the report, and it shows that I had 5,703 results at this time when this picture was taken. But if you wanted to drill down and say, okay, I want to see 12th grade students at the high school that are enrolled, that are only students, and then that have 300Es, because maybe a grade has 2 different devices. You could put those filters in here, and it will immediately tell you which of those devices, which students have those devices. And then as well, this button over here that says export to CSV, sorry. That is great, because then you can download it and manipulate that data however you want. I use that on a daily basis to send reports to admins, secretaries, etc. on what's going on in that building for repairs and things like that. This one was almost the same exact thing. This one was just incident reporting. I'm not going to touch too much on it, other than the fact to say that just like with looking up devices, you can also look up incidents and see all kinds of information. This is what their CSV looks like. If you're familiar with any kind of Excel sheets, it's not going to be surprising to you, but it is broken out in a way that you get all that information. It's not like when you export to a CSV, they're only giving you 2 or 3 little bits of information about that device. You are getting the whole kit and caboodle of who has that device, when they got it, what's its status, et cetera, et cetera. So just know that that CSV is a very robust set of information you're getting from every report. This next screen, again, they'll go way more into detail because the incident cards has a lot to it. But this is what their incident card looks like when you create an incident. And it gives you the ability to see everything just like with the student that goes on that activity log. When the device incident was created, the status changes, who did that change, the parts that got added to it, are they in warranty? Do you need to swap a loaner? I could really go on and on and on. But the whole point, just like with the student card, is nothing on this screen is difficult to understand for whoever is going to be using it. The stuff is pretty self-explanatory, and it will help whoever's managing or doing your ticketing to keep an easy, efficient workflow from start to finish on any kind of repairs or incidents.
We're at quarter after right now, Eric, so I don't know if we want to kind of jump more into the integration now.
Yeah, so that's exactly right where we're at right now. So actually, I am going to go for it. I'm going to skip a couple slides because I want us to get into the integration as well. So if you do have more want for the one-to-one manager, like I said, great program, and Allie will reach out to you for that deeper dive. Needless to say, we are more than 6 years, 6 years with the program. Well, sorry, we've been with the program for quite some time. Let's just say that, and we love it. So highly recommend it. So I'm going to go to the second part of this program, and that's the FUYL tower integration from LocknCharge. This basically became to us through, well, it was actually Allie that came up with the program. But with this tower integration, what you can do is help to eliminate some of the labor needs in your school district, or at least that's what we did with ours. Other districts may use it in different ways, but we saw it as a way to give students access to devices anytime during the day, even without a tech being there. And that is something we have never been able to do until we had this. So the towers are, if you're not familiar with the FUYL towers, they're smart towers. They respond to a cloud integration that allows you to get devices based on who you are and what building you're in using the LocknCharge cloud platform. But with LocknCharge integrating with Learn21, Learn21 has been able to take that and make it so that way students can go to a kiosk, fill out a simple set of questions that ask them, things like what's going on with the device, why is it broken, things like that. And it will give them a bay number and a PIN number to open up one of the bays and then place their damaged device in the bay and take a good device, a spare device to use out of the bay to use. Now that sounds real simple at first, but the whole back end of this is automated, which makes it even better because then as a tech person, we don't need to be there to help them with this process. We can simply say, okay, I know that 3 times a week I need to go refill my bays, or once a week I need to go refill the bays, but I don't need to go on to the Learn21's one-to-one manager system and make sure that, okay, so-and-so got this device, because the system will automatically create the ticket and assign that loaner to them as if a tech was there doing a standard ticket creation. And that automation is what really makes this program amazing, or the integration amazing. So our project goals essentially for us to do this was we really wanted to reduce the amount of time that we spend in the buildings, because if you're a school district like us, you probably don't have nearly as many support people as you really need in your district. For us, we had at that time 1.5 people, I'm going to call it 2, but it's really 1.5 people to support right around 6,000 devices. Half of those are take-home devices. There's just not enough me to go around to fix all these devices. So this allowed us to give the kids that time to get a device whenever it was convenient for them. There are a lot of hurdles that we overcame. I'm not going to read off the PowerPoint here. Like I said, this will be on recorded. So if you want to spend some more time and freeze frame this, but basically we were able to reduce the amount of time that we had to be in the buildings every day. And that was our justification as well on how we were able to afford these towers. So one of the biggest issues is, how do you pay for a tower that cost anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 at that time dollars? And this data showed and proved that by having the towers in the building, we needed a person there less, which means their time could be allocated to other buildings, effectively saving a district from having to purchase another part-time or full-time tech for those buildings because they have issues there. Not that we want anybody to lose a job, but in our case, it just really allowed us to work at other buildings and not feel rushed, which was the main goal of the whole program. And it will, at that time, it saved us around $10,000 a year. So you think within a year or two, you will have paid back what your cost is for a couple of these towers. And again, where we're at today is we have 4 FUYL towers in our district, hoping to maybe get a few more in the next few years to help with even more stress relief of getting those buildings more support. And they have been working, Learn21 that is, has been working to create more and more workflows to allow us to use the towers even more, with things like not only being able to create tickets automatically when a student needs a new device, but maybe once a device has been repaired, we can put it into the towers, send the student an email or a notification, and then they can come at their will and pick up the device and place their spare device back into the tower, and it will close that ticket, reassign all in the back end, and all automated. So a lot of things we're still looking to build out in the towers, but their features now are really good as they are. So I think this is, yes. So we have a video now we're going to go ahead and show. It's a 4-minute video, and this is just a demonstration of how we use the towers in our high school. So it's not a live view, but it's a nice explanation of how our students use these towers on a daily basis. And hopefully it will give you an idea of our usage. I'm going to go ahead and play now and be quiet.
Let's look at a live demo of Learn21 working with our kiosk to illustrate both what a technician would see and as well the steps that a student would take to swap out their broken device for a working spare. First, we need to look at the status of our LocknCharge towers. We do that by navigating in Learn21 to Admin, Self-Service, then Self-Service Management. Once we open the page, we will see the status of every bay within the towers. Based on what we see here, we know that our high school Tower 1 has 10 bays available, each has a good working spare in them, and is ready to be used. Next, let's move over to the physical towers and kiosk for the device swap. Our towers are located in our library, and we use a Chromebook in managed mode to host the web page for Learn21's kiosk. As you can see, each bay in the tower shows a green light. That indicates that the bay is ready to be used and has a good working available spare. Now that we are at the Learn21 kiosk, let's swap out this damaged student device using the kiosk and towers. To begin with, we need to type in some information about the user. In this case, the student ID or the lunch code. Then we need to type in the device number. For us, this is our asset tag number, which is located on the back of devices. In this case, the number is 6426, then press continue. It will then have the student choose what the issues are with the device, so that way the tech has a starting point to diagnose. As well, this page will display information on who the user is and what device they currently have. On the next page, students can add additional notes that they want the tech to know about. Now it's time to choose which tower they would like to use. On this page, they will choose one of the towers that they are authorized to use. In our case, only users associated with our high school will see the high school towers. If this was a junior high student, they would only see the junior high towers. So that way districts can make sure towers in each building are only accessible to specific users or grades. We will then get one last confirmation screen that will check to make sure the issues with the device are correct, as well as the student and device information are correct. The kiosk will then give us information needed to access the spare device. It will tell us which tower to use, as well as which bay in the tower is assigned to us, and finally the code to open that bay. We can then move over to the correct tower and type on the keypad the bay number we wish to access. It will then ask us for a bay access code, which was provided on the screen to us. Once we press OK, if the code was correct, it will pop open the bay that was assigned. Students can then remove the spare in the bay, which will be theirs to use until the repairs are complete. Once the spare is removed, they will place their broken device in the bay, plug it in, and then close the bay door. Once the door is shut, the door will lock, the status light will go off, and the bay will be unusable until a tech comes to retrieve the device from the tower. We can now go back into Learn21 and check to see that the tower correctly gave out the device, gave the correct new status for the bay, and as well assigned the broken device to the bay. If we wanted then to swap the device in the bay for a new spare, we could choose Edit and change the asset tag for the bay and the status of the bay to have the bay ready for another user.
All right, so hopefully I didn't go too fast there for you, and hopefully that video gave at least a little visual representation of how we have been using it at our high school and kind of the same with the middle school setup there. Does anybody at this point have any questions or anything in the chat that we can answer for you? I am going to stop screen sharing now so we can go back to Hallie, I believe. All right.
And while we're waiting for any questions, just to elaborate a little bit on some of the other workflows that are possible or coming soon in that integration. Currently, we do have a couple of districts that are running like a forgot device workflow where the student has the option to say, I broke my device or I forgot it for the day, I need a loaner. Being able to go through and make the incident of either type, or even if it's a lost device, stolen, being able to track all that different information through some of our other upgrades as well. We're doing a lot more of a customizable kind of kiosk workflow where you guys at a district level can decide if you need to ask certain questions for warranty purposes, like how to get that information from the students. So maybe you need like a date when it was damaged, being able to add those extra slides and that kind of wizard that the students walking through gives them the opportunity to do all that extra information.
Ellie, I got two questions for you and Eric. One would be, Eric, as you go through this with kids, we expect what we expect, but we don't know until we start to implement it. Are there things that you had the aha moment about, or workflows that you and Allie needed to change or think about differently as kids experience the bay of the tower and swap things out? Or maybe things that you would recommend, Eric, that you would do differently, or maybe are thinking about doing differently with how students interact with it?
I would say the biggest aha, and this is just for us, so take it with a grain of salt. But our biggest aha that we did is getting education into the students about how to use the towers. The towers are really self-explanatory, but that doesn't mean it's self-explanatory to a student. And since our main target is students, you need to teach them. So the first year we had these, we just said go to the library and learn how to use it essentially. But after that first year, we've actually gotten our media specialists to work with the students and demo how to use the towers. And that pitfall has helped a lot because now the students at least get a demo how to use it and they're not completely blindsided when middle of the year they need a repair.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's helpful. Hopefully others are thinking the same thing. The other one is I haven't done it at my district at Sycamore. I'm no longer after June 30th going to be there, but we were thinking about moving to the 5-bay tower as well. We had a 15, but using a 5-bay tower for staff devices, specifically for substitute teachers and such. So I don't know if you've jumped into that or not. I didn't get there yet. So.
I would love to. I think the price is the little prohibitive part for that because the subs right now sign in and out when they go to the secretary for a device. But in that, the way you're using it, it can be for subs just like it is with students. And I think that's a really good way to track, if nothing else, because you have a trail of accountability for those devices where you don't have that when somebody just takes a device from the secretary.
Really quick, Justin, do you mind elaborating on what integrates? Do you mean the towers directly or one-to-one with the full integration? Does it integrate with Fresh Service? And then Dustin, to answer your question while we're waiting on that, that process is something in that last little slide that Eric showed at the end with like being able to go in and edit the bay. You can make the reservations on behalf of the students. So that's how you would be able to kind of walk through and get that back. Something that I'm going to be working more with Eric and other districts that are currently running this integration is kind of making it a lot more cohesive so that when you guys are closing that incident and getting ready to put that device back in there, having it be one less step to go jump over to the self-service management screen and have to go through all that process. So we're definitely cleaning that up, but it is possible to do it, as well as like Bill mentioned, some workflows around like doing regular assignments. Those are available now too through that kind of admin reservation process on behalf of a student or staff member.
And as well to that, even when a student opens a bay and then shuts a bay and gets a device and all that stuff, it'll create that ticket and assign it to them. But when you actually go into Learn21, you will choose to finalize that ticket. And that kind of checks to make sure, okay, student got the correct device and it's not, they left the device in the tower. Because we have had where students opened the bay and shut the bay and the towers have no idea that the device was taken out. They just know the door was shut. So we've seen, we're like, okay, it's assigned to them a device, but they don't have a device, it's still in the tower. So it's a nice checking system. As for the fresh service, I can't speak to that one. I know I use Freshdesk as well, but we don't have any integration as far on that piece. I know that Learn21 is working with creating their own help desk system, which will integrate all of this into that. So I have a feeling it's going to go more with that part in the future.
And if you're talking, like Eric said, with more of like an integration between One2One and help desk solutions, we do have that one that's coming that we're building that will be completely cohesive with everything in our tech director toolbox, basically. But we do have other districts that will use some of the notification pieces with subscribers to be able to kind of forward tickets to their help desk through email. Okay, cool.
I know we're at the bottom of the hour, Allie and Eric, thank you. Allie and I know Josh is on this call as well from our team, and I know Josh Davis from the LocknCharge team. If you guys might want to put your emails in the chat for folks, if people have questions, more than welcome to reach out to us. I know that Learn21, as we worked closely with LocknCharge, we do have the opportunity to resell, and we had a very competitive, if not unbelievably competitive pricing on those towers, because we see it as an add-on value for the work you're doing. So Eric, really appreciate you giving us application today. That's the most important piece. And Allie, the work you've been doing with Josh or Eric on it. So thank you.
No worries. Thank you guys.
And I'll just want to add one thing too, for those that are, have some interest in wanting to trial this. So we have a great partnership, obviously, where we actually will go ahead and send you out one of our 5 bays. So this is the 5 bay behind me here. You get 30 days with the tower, 30 days with our software. And obviously we can work with Learn21 and they can provide some of the integration components so that you guys can experience this yourself as well. So if there's interest, please feel free to reach out to us and we can help get that set up for you guys.
Yeah, it's a good point, Josh. I know Allie knows this as well, and Josh on our team. We also offer 3 months trial when they're doing the tower. So to make sure that if you want to use our software, the One2One manager, so you can really get a true experience. I know Allie could speak more to that if you all have questions about it. Her emails in the chat. I think you posted there, didn't you, Allie?
Yeah, and we do have the full attendee list. We will be sending out an invite for anybody that's interested. We're going to be doing kind of a deeper dive into One2One with like another webinar next week. I think it's at the same time, but that'll just be more Learn21 One2One focused, not just the integration. So we will follow up, and thank you again, everybody, for your time today.
Good. Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.